Good afternoon. My presentation is going to be about our activities in plastic pellets and why we consider ourselves to be the global leader in pellets made out of recycled material. So I'll talk a little bit about who is CABKA, how we engineer post-consumer recycled plastics, and what are the drivers of the circular economy, and what we bring for a better future. So that was my presentation. I am Jean-Marc van Maaren. I'm the Chief Product Officer for CABKA Group. CABKA Group is a 35-year-old company, already active since many years, based from Germany. My headquarters is in Berlin. We are the largest processor of recycled plastics in the pellet business. Over 140,000 tons of metric tons of materials we reprocess into plastics. And we produce a wide range of applications. We use different technologies that fit for the application. We can produce parts from 2 kilo up to 90 kilos in one shot in different injection molding technologies, high pressure, low pressure, gas assist welding, vibration welding, etc. Our overall capacity of production is 10 million pallets a year. So what do? We basically engineer material to fit the requirements. We build plants, of course. We are very good at product design. We make our own tools. We produce. We take back material and we recycle. Our facilities are mainly in Europe, in Germany, in Belgium, and Spain, and one facility in the US, in St. Louis, in the middle of this country. Recently, we have centralized our innovation in Valencia, where we do these three things: material, design, and processing for the whole group. So what is this engineering of material? Basically, it's, I think, the most complex part that you can imagine, because working with virgin material of high quality regrind is easy, but working with waste plastics is very complex, because this is a mix of everything that is used. And what we try to do is, with these waste plastics, is to make a blend that meets certain properties that then are designed into a pallet, where we use advanced FEA models to determine if this meets the fit. Products that we make are ranging from big boxes to pallets to the grids and specific other products. Our portfolio is mainly focused on pallets, nestable pallets, that's what we're known for, logistic pallets, custom-made pallets, very big boxes, sleeve pack boxes that you see around here a lot, and small collapsible crates. I truly think that we have the widest portfolio of plastic pellets in the world that will fit any customer requirement, from a low-cost pellet to a high-cost pellet. Our industry focus is mainly on automotive, retail, food and beverage, chemical and pharma. Now, what does this small German company do, and which kind of customers do we have? Here's a list of our customers, but there are two important customers that I think are worth mentioning. For the Lidl Group, we produce all the pallets that you see in their warehouses, in their automatic warehouses globally. And for Volkswagen, we produce all their boxes that they use in their plants in the US and in Europe. This is the box that we talk about. This is the box that is kind of bringing a lot of benefits to the automotive industry. And that's because it's a very simple box with a high cube content and very lightweight, made of 100% recycled material except for the sleeve panels. And we are now at the phase of introducing, we call it our CABKA 3.0, which is coming to the market in the US as well in 2020. In retail, I mentioned it before, all the shops in Europe from Lidl have these Nestor pallets that they use for bringing the goods from a DC center into the shops. Another pellet that is used heavily in Europe is so-called half display pellets. These pellets are also used directly as display into the shops. For the beverage pellets, we use something special. Many years ago, it's like what the Norwegian company did. The industry in Europe transformed from going for wood pellets to plastic pellets. And this beverage pool was set up. And we developed this plastic pellet together with, of course, the beverage companies. And today, this is a standard for all these companies, including Coca-Cola. What is interesting about this pellet, again, that it's made out of 100% recycled material, except for some of the anti-slip grommets. And the anti-slip grommets are also interesting because they bring specific benefits to the industry. This is the only pellet in the world that we know of that has 3 different types of anti-slip provision: on the top deck, on the bottom deck for the forklifts, and on the bottom deck for anti-slip in the trucks. And what this pellet does to the industry is the same as with other reusable systems. It reduces dramatically the damage rate that they had with wood pellets. It reduces the total cost of ownership, but most important, it reduces CO2 emissions. Compared to the previous wood pellet, the pellet is so much more durable that is an immediate cost saving within, I think, 1.5 years for the pool owner. And since this pool is now running since 6 years, and all cycles that are used are again, an old damaged pellet are again recycled into new pellets. Big advantage in this case is also the weight reduction of a plastic pellet. Weight reduction, I think, is the biggest driver for CO2 reduction in the supply chain. So that brings us to, I think, the most important subject of today, what we are facing. What is happening? We have a big problem. We have a big problem with plastics waste. Here at this Pack Expo, all companies are introducing new type of packaging that is pushed into the market, and new packaging waste is coming into the market. And you see that there is a global awareness and concern that is ranging from the public to the governmental areas. Plastics waste is a problem that needs to be resolved. Where does this plastic waste come from? If you look at the growth trends of just virgin plastic, it's incredible. It's continuing to grow. And if you look at the markets where these plastics come from, you see that the major market is packaging. And it's packaging that consists out of very nice material that could be used for the production of pellets. It's mainly polyethylene, it's mainly LDP, mainly HDP, etc. So we ourselves create waste, and we ourselves need to solve this problem. So that's what's actually happening. If you listen to what the Europeans, but also some American companies are thinking about, is to try to create some kind of circular economy. We had a discussion yesterday about this, and there was an opinion that this was pure economical, or that it was pure sustainable, but that's not the case. It's really something that forces the industry to rethink the supply chain, to do the things in a different way than they have done before, to reduce the amount of packaging. Actually, for some companies that's not good because they're thinking of selling more and more and more, but actually you need to sell less and less and less, to reuse the packaging and to recycle. And that drives the need for plastic pallets to have the lowest environmental footprint. And one thing which I think is very interesting is to understand an application in a kind of an LCA environment. So here we did an analysis together with the chemical industry in Europe, where we looked at the use of plastic pellets versus the use of wood pellets, and tried to find out which system has more benefits and at which type of reuse it had to be looked at. So don't worry about the slide, but it looks at a system of pellets going from a supplier to filler to a user and back again to the filler again. And we compared 3 types of pellets: a standard wood chemical pellet, a plastic pellet, and a lighter nestable pellet. And it's important to understand that in these systems there are different types of loss rates. So the pellet has a weight, but the system can have a loss rate. The loss rate can be 0% or can be 40%. And this really drives a lot of the economics, but also a lot of the ecological parts. What's also important to know is that if you compare wood pellets to plastic pellets, the end-of-life solution for wood pellets is not recycling. This is something very important to understand. In Europe, but also in the US, wood pellets end up in incineration. There is no recycling for wood pellets. So going to, and this is a little bit more complicated slide, but if you look to a pellet system with 0 loss rate compared to a pellet system with 40% loss rate per trip, you can see that in a 0% loss rate per trip, always the plastic pellet is better than a wood pellet. Only when you enter somewhere where the loss rate per trip is about 20 or 40%, the wood pellet gets into a more kind of a balance. So it's not only the pellet material, it's also the system of reusing the pellet that's very important for looking at the benefits of this. That's why we are introducing and have introduced this standard for the chemical industry. We call it the CP7. It's a 1300 by 1100 very light pellet that is now introduced in Europe. We also introduced a new chemical pellet called CP3 and a new pellet called CP9. After this presentation, I would welcome you to come to our booth to see these pellets. Coming back to making pellets lighter, this is a pellet that weighs nearly 7 kilos, so 16 pounds. It's a pellet that is used for export, and it's very light and has a low weight. So lightweight is important. But lightweight is not the only thing that you can do in innovation. What we are here introducing today is a new way of handling pellets. And this comes back to quite some years ago when CABKA introduced a pellet that was conveyable and nestable. This was in 2012. And today we're presenting you the new generation of Nestrec, as we call it. This is a 48 by 40 pellet that is nestable, rackable, and conveyable. Nope. So that's, I didn't make the video, but we designed the pallet, and honestly we are very proud of this development because it's a pallet that will save a lot of money for the complete supply chain. Honestly, when you have a pallet that you can return 3 to 1 in a truck and has a lifetime that's more or less similar to the heavy duty pool pallets that are going around in the retail chain, this could change the world. On top of that, the pallet is a one-piece pallet, so there are no areas of contamination, no double walls, no strange things of possible contamination getting to a welded pallet. So I think this is a next generation of pallet that many companies will try to use.